Hello all. Today we discuss about the thermal energy basics for electrical energy conservation and auditing processes. First one is the temperature. It is the degree of hotness or coldness measured on a definite scale. It is also a form of heat energy. Temperature is a mean of determining sensible heat content of the substance. We talk about the sensible heat later in the later slides. The next is to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to degree Celsius and from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if we want to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, so start with temperature which is in Fahrenheit and then subtract 32 and multiply it by 5 and divide by 9. The same vice versa process is followed to convert the degree Celsius temperature into the degree Fahrenheit temperature, and you see in the slides also. So next we talk about the pressure. The pressure is the force per unit area applied to any body or on a outside of a body. For example, when we heat a gas in a confined space, we create more force and then a pressure increases. Another example is the heating the air inside a balloon will cause the balloon to stretch and as the pressure increases. It is an indicative term for stored energy, and the steam at higher pressures contain much more energy than at low pressure. We all know, as this is superheated steam is used to rotate the turbines. Next term is heat. Heat is a form of energy. The quantity of heat depends on the quantity and type of the substance involved. The unit of heat is the calorie, which is used to measure the quantity of heat. It is a calorie is the quantity of heat. 1 calorie is the quantity of heat which can raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Earlier we also measure the heat in terms of joule, and the 1 calorie is approximately equal to 4.187 joules. Similarly, the next term is specific heat. Specific heat is the term which is used to if we want to heat the same if we want apply the heat energy to same amount of heat energy supply to equal quantity of water and milk, then their temperature goes up by different amount. So the heat required is known as the specific heat. If we want to heat the water and milk and the same amount we want to heat, then the temperature of water and milk is different after the same time. So this property is known as the specific heat. It is defined as the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water or 1 kilogram of any substance through 1 degree Celsius. Here in the next slide, in this slide, I will show you the different substances and their specific heat. They were for example, we saw this, the specific heat of water is equal to 4200 joule per kilogram degree Celsius, and in all the substances, the specific heat of water is very much high. The next term is sensible heat. It is a heat which when added or subtracted resulted in a change of temperature, or exactly we feel this amount of heat when we change the temperature of fan at home, then we feel the temperature change. So this amount of heat senses is known as sensible heat. In the same order, the next term is the quantity of heat. If we want to calculate the quantity of heat, first we see on which properties the quantity of heat depends. The first one is the mass of the substance, second one is the increase in temperature, and the specific heat of that particular substance. So the quantity of heat is given to any substance is known as the Q equal to mass into specific heat and into increase in temperature, that is known as m into Cp into delta T. To calculate the quantity of heat, we always use this formula. Next term is the phase change. The change of state from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, or the vice versa is known as the phase change. The fixed temperature at which solid changes into a liquid is called its melting point, and the change of state from a liquid to gas is known as vaporization. Next term is latent heat of fusion. The latent heat of fusion of a substance is the quantity of heat required to convert 1 kilogram of solid into liquid state without change of temperature. So here we can see the latent heat of ice is equal to 3,36,000 joule per kilogram. Next term is latent heat. It is the change in heat content of a substance when its physical state is changed without change in temperature. So latent heat of fusion and the latent heat is the interrelated terms. Next term is superheat. The heating of vapor, particularly saturated steam, to a temperature much higher than the boiling point at the existing pressure. This is done in power plant to improve the efficiency and to avoid condensation in the turbine. We generally use the superheated steam to rotate the turbine we already knows that the superheated steam is having more energy than a natural steam. So we use the superheated steam in power plant to rotate turbines or to generate energy. Next term is the humidity. This humidity is humidity is known as the moisture content of air or the total moisture content present in air. It is expressed in two different ways. First one is the specific humidity and second one is the relative humidity. Specific humidity is the actual weight of water vapor mixed in a 1 kilogram of dry air, and this is also related to the term humidity factor. Humidity factor is the kilogram of water per kilogram of dry air. And it is a unitless quantity also, because it is a kilogram per kilogram of water and per kilogram of air. Next term is relative humidity. It is the measure of degree of saturation of air at any dry bulb temperature. We talk about the dry bulb temperature later in the slides. First we talk about the relative humidity. It is given as a percentage is actual water content in the air divided by the moisture content of fully saturated air at the existing temperature. That means actual water content present in air and the moisture content present in fully saturated air जो exists it is already exists in the fully saturated air, the total declared term. Next terms are related terms to the humidity, that is relative humidity or specific humidity. The related terms are the dew point, dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature. So first we talk about the dew point. Dew point is the atmospheric temperature varying atmospheric temperature below which water droplet begin to condense and dew can form. It is known as the dew point, or we can say it is the temperature at which the condensation of water vapor from air begins. Next term is the dry bulb temperature. Dry bulb temperature is indication of sensible heat content and also known as the measure. It is also known, we can say the dry bulb temperature is measured by a thermometer freely exposed to the air, or we can say that it is usually the true thermodynamic temperature of air, which is measured by a normal thermometer. Next is the wet bulb temperature. It is the measure of total heat content, or it is the temperature approached by the dry bulb and dew point as saturation occurs, or we can say that the wet bulb temperature is adiabatic saturation temperature, which is measured by a thermometer with the bulb wrapped in wet muslin. Wet bulb temperature lower than the dry bulb temperature in the air. Similarly, the next term is dew point temperature. Dew point temperature is at which the temperature where water vapor starts to condense out of air. Above this temperature, the moisture present in the air also. Next term is the fuel density. Density is the ratio of mass of fuel to the volume at a stated temperature. Next term is the specific gravity of fuel. The specific gravity of fuel is the density of fuel relative to water, and it is defined as 1, as it is a ratio there in unitless quantity. Higher the specific gravity, higher will be the heating values. Next one is the viscosity. Viscosity of fluid is measure of its internal resistance to flow. That means कि oil having viscosity The viscosity of fluid is a measure of its internal resistance to flow. All liquid fuels decreases in viscosity with increasing temperature. The next term is calorific value. Energy content in an organic matter can be measured by burning it and measuring the heat released. This is done by a sample of known mass in a bomb calorimeter. A thermometer energy content in an organic matter can be found out by the two different parameters, that is gross calorific value or the net calorific value. The difference between GCV and NCV is the heat of vaporization of moisture and atomic hydrogen in the fuel. Typical GCV and NCV for heavy fuel oil are 10,500 kilocalorie per kilogram and 9,800 kilocalorie per kilogram. Next, we talk about the heat transfer. The heat will always be transferred from higher temperature to lower temperature independent of the mode. The energy transfer is measured in joules. The heat is transferred by three different modes. The first one is the conduction, second one is convection, and third mode is the radiation. So we talk about in detail, we talk about these methods in detail in later slides. Conduction. The conduction of heat takes place when two bodies are in contact with one another. If one body is at a higher temperature than other, the motion of molecules in a hotter body will move to cooler bodies and consequently result in increase in temperature. So this is the method of conduction. The next we talk about the measure of ability of substance to insulate its thermal resistance is commonly referred to as R value. The R value is generally the inverse of thermal conductivity and the ability to conduct. Thermal conductivity, the ability to conduct heat, or it is the thermal resistance. Typical unit of measure of conductive heat transfer are per unit area, and per unit area is watt per square meter, and overall it is known measured in watts. The next method is convection. The transfer of heat by convection involves the movement of fluid such as a gas or liquid from hot to cold portion. There are two types of convection, natural and forced. In case of natural convection, the fluid in contact with the adjacent to a high temperature body is heated by conduction. As it is heated, its expands, become less dense and consequently rises. This begins a fluid motion process in which a circulating current of fluid moves past the heated body. continuously transferring heat away from it. The unit of measure for rate of convective heat transfer are watt or kilowatts. The next method is thermal radiation. It is a process in which energy is transferred by electromagnetic waves similar to light waves. These waves may be both visible and invisible. A very common example we all know, the heater. When the heater element is first switched on, the radiation is invisible, but you can feel the warmth it radiates. As the element heats, it will glow orange and some of radiation is now visible. The hotter the element, the brighter it glows and the more radiant energy it emits. So this is the example of thermal radiation. Next, the key process in the interaction of substance with thermal radiation are absorption, transmission and reflection. These three key process occurs in the thermal radiation process, from transferring of heat from one mode to another, from one body to another body. The first is absorption, the process by which radiation enters a body and becomes heat. Transmission is the process by which radiation passes through a body, and the reflection is by which radiation is neither absorbed nor transmitted through the body, rather it bounces off. The typical unit of measure are watt per square meter, same as the conduction and convection methods. The next is evaporation, the change by which any substance is converted from a liquid state and carried off as vapor. The next method is condensation, the change by which any substance is converted from gaseous state to liquid state. Condensation on the other hand is a heating process. As molecule of vapor can condense and become liquid, their latent heat of vaporization evidences itself again as sensible heat, indicated by a rise in temperature. Next term is steam. Steam is a popular mode of conveying energy since Industrial Revolution. The following characteristic of steam make it so popular. First one is the high specific heat and latent heat. We all know about the specific heat and latent heat temperature. The high heat transfer coefficient, easy to control and distribute, cheap and inert. These characteristics are enable the steam to use in generating power and also use in process industries such like sugar, paper, fertilizer industries and other different industries. Next term is we want auditor in electrical energy conservation and auditor engineers is known about the steam table. First one is select the pressure and how to read a steam table. Select the pressure and temperature of steam at which you want to find the heat content or enthalpy. Read the intersection of pressure and temperature for enthalpy and heat content in the steam. We get. The next term is first law of thermodynamics. It states that energy may be converted from one form to another, but it is never lost from the system. Or we can say the energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. The second law of thermodynamics, in any conversion of energy from one form to another, some amount of energy will be dissipated as heat. So no energy conversion is 100% efficient, and this principle is used in energy equipment efficiency calculation. Next is law of conservation of matter. In any physical or chemical change, matter is neither created nor destroyed, but it may be changed from one form to another, and no matter would be lost during this conversion. And this principle is used in energy and material balance calculation, and we discuss about the energy and material balance calculations in next lecture. Thank you.